It's a 51.4 lens right there. We'll just put that there because I'm taking it off of my Pentax MX Super. And yes, this is another MX Super video. If you've watched my channel for any considerable period of time, if you know me in any way, you know that I love this camera. I got in the mail the other day from a customer a Pentax MX, and I have conflicting feelings. So first of all, very virtually identical cameras. There's a lot of different components to both of them. We'll get to that. When I initially started repairing cameras, I didn't really like the MXs that much, to be honest, because the winding mechanism of it doesn't feel very good, which is a very weird complaint to make, and also because I just prefer the copal shutter. Also, the MXs that I was working on were like really low value, so they were just completely thrashed, and it's just like, it's not even worth repairing them, quite frankly. And you'll see that now if you go on eBay and you search for MX Supers and you go for like, you know, under 120, you'll find a bunch of MX Supers that are like being sold for nothing. Like you can get one of these with a decent lens for like 50 bucks. Pretty inexpensive, and it may or may not work, but you can find them. MXs, however, super expensive. Like even a 4 parts or repair one, I was looking last night and I could only find one for like 50 bucks, and that was like plus 30 with shipping, so it's like 80 bucks for one that might not work that well and not good condition. And this one is pretty much mint. Like it is beautiful in every way, shape, and form. So anyway, a customer sent this in to me. I just finished repairing it and I was about to send it out, but I did want to make this video because this is the first MX that I've looked at and been like, I kind of like this camera. And a lot of little things about it that I really enjoy. One being this little window right here, and you might not be able to see it very well. The lighting in here is unideal, but this little window here, what that does is if you're looking through the viewfinder, through the prism up on the top, this little window will display what aperture you're shooting at on the lens. It basically just points down onto the lens right there. Ingenious. And that's something that when I was shooting with AE1 I really wish that I had, because the metering system of the AE1 is such that you set it at the shutter speed you want to shoot at, and the needle will display, hey, this is the aperture you're going to want to shoot at for proper exposure. But in order to do that, maybe if you're better at photography than I am, which is more than likely, you have to take your eye out, look at the lens, and adjust the aperture there. So it's one of those things that you just can't take the photo right there in that second. So a little bit of a challenge, but you know, if you're used to shooting with it, maybe that's something you get used to. But with this little thing, you don't even have to worry about it. Also, the locking mechanism, I can shoot right now. Great. I don't want to shoot. I'm going to move that over there, and it locks the shutter button in place. So now I don't have to worry about it. I can keep this advanced, good to go. The other thing too, which I'm a huge fan of, mechanical cameras, and this is exclusively mechanical except for the light meter, which runs off of 2 of the 1.5 volt batteries that are inserted in the bottom, much like the MX Super. However, the MX Super is, as you well know, an electrical camera. It operates with a magnetic aberration system, which creates the lag in the shutter speeds, depending on light inputs and stuff like that. I'm not going to fire this at all because I have film in it. Let's talk about these cameras as they were produced. The MX is older. The MX was originally released in 1976 and it ran until 1985. It was initially marketed as the replacement to the KX, which was the more professional version of the K1000 essentially. It was supposed to be the flagship camera of that generation. And then it was in turn replaced by the LX, which is the one that everyone knows, or most people know, with the detachable prism and all of that. Really good camera, haven't messed much with the LX. I feel like they break a lot because there's a lot of them out there that are broken. But even then, that's one of those that you can't get for cheap, even if it's like completely working. So this shares more in common with a K1000 or a KX than I feel like it does with the ME Super. The only thing that I think it has in common with the ME Super and the ME is the fact that it's very, very small, as you can see. The shutter speeds only go up to 1000, like the K1000 or the KX or the KM, whereas this one will go to 2000. And again, I believe that that is the copal shutter mechanism allowing this to go higher. So now with that being said, the ME Super is a newer camera. It was originally released in 1979 and it ran until about 1984. So this one was introduced first and lasted another year in production than the ME Super. This has, as I've said repeatedly at this point, a vertical traveling copal shutter, and it was one of the two replacement SLRs for the ME, which the ME was marketed as a entry camera. So this, and then the MEF, I believe it was called. Yes, the MEF, which was like the very, I want to say the first autofocusing camera. And basically what that is, it was an ME with extra contacts in the bottom of the lens, and with the specific lens you could mount on it, it would work with autofocus. Kind of gimmicky, I think, but it was a step in the right direction, I suppose, with where the industry was going. But what sets this apart from the ME, of course, has a block auto, I think it was a 100X, and a bulb. This one has auto, and then it also has the manual settings, so you can use these two buttons to manually control whatever shutter speed you want to shoot at, which is, I think, very important. But the auto is really good in this. I think that the auto setting and the metering system in general on the ME Super aged a lot better than the ME. Of course, that is just my opinion. I've not really done a side-by-side shoot because I've not bought an ME, but maybe I will one day, who knows. Point being though, is that between these two, there's a lot of like subtle key differences. And like I said previously at the start of this video, and the whole reason I'm even making this video is because I got this in the mail and I was kind of messing with it a little bit before I started working on it, just making sure, just doing the testing that I do with these cameras. And I was thinking to myself, like, I kind of want to get an MX. Like, I really like this camera. Like this does a whole lot for me. Like, and this isn't just like my, you know, obsession with buying gear and things and having cameras, because I'm kind of phasing out of that gradually, I feel like. But this was one of those that like I've messed with for many years and just didn't really do anything for me. But for whatever reason, this one in particular, like, I think it's the black model, looks really cool. And it is just in phenomenal shape, as I've said before. And it really caught me by surprise, because I never thought I would be someone that'd be like, oh, I'm kind of about the MX. And all this time I've been like, man, I don't understand why MXs are so expensive or popular. Like, I don't see it. I'm seeing it now. So comparatively, I'm still gonna have to say that as much as I like this MX, I gotta stick with ME Super. And that's just, it's me. So I'm very biased towards these things. I love the ME Super. I can tear this down completely, put it all back together again. And I love having that sense of control. Probably do the same with this if I spend more time working on them. I just haven't. And again, they are very expensive. They definitely hold their value, which if that's something you're looking into, then definitely go for it. It definitely has that tailored to a more professional user, which I think is important. And it still maintains that very compact form, which I really like. And I think if it came to a point where I'm going on some form of like long trip and I'm looking for something that's going to be compact, reliable, and you know, if the weather on this trip, this hypothetical trip that I'm going on, is going to be fluctuating, I would probably take an MX, because this is going to work whether or not I have batteries in it. You know, this will work if you don't have batteries in it, but you're limited to the 1/125th second exposure and bulb. So very limited in this regard. But here you can fire any of these shutter speeds, any of them at all, because it's mechanical. I wanted to make this comparison video because this aged like a fine wine, and the prices of it will definitely show that. I just feel like if you're looking to get into film photography, if you just need something real quick, if you just want a camera to, you know, kind of get your feet wet into this money pit that taking photos with film is, ME Super's the way to go, because it's not going to cost you a bunch. These came-out lenses you can get one pretty cheap. You can get many off-brands that'll work just as well as the Pentax brand, and it really offers a whole lot in such a small, compact size, and I think that is invaluable. And I very rarely have these huge paradigm shift realizations about cameras, because, you know, I feel like most of my opinions pretty much stick, but this was one that picked it up and was like, I was wrong about that all this time. So that would be the ME Super and MX comparison, head-to-head clash. Who comes out ahead? I'll leave that for you to decide in your own purchasing decisions. But if it was me and I'm looking at these two listings on eBay, I'm gonna go with the ME Super, because I know it, I'm comfortable with it, and it's a little bit cheaper. So I feel like you can do a little bit more with this as opposed to this. But that being said, there's so much you can do with this. Like, this is unexplored territory, I feel like, and not enough people are talking about the Pentax MX. So check it out. If you haven't, look into it. I'm gonna do a full breakdown of this camera before I send it back to the customer. And I wanna say a special shout out to the customer for sending me this camera to work on and allowing me to make this video. So with that being said, thanks for watching. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. Shoot me an email if you have any questions about any cameras you may have, any prospective repairs. Yeah, catch you on the next one.